Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. Hey, man, we're back on the channel, man. We got another evil video for y'all today. Another disturbing case of the Horrorcore killer. I don't know, y'all. It's gonna be a little different. Hey, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to further support. All you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video,
lock it in with a thumbs up.
Hey, let's get it. Let's check this out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
Yeah, ready.
The following footage of killer Richard Samuel McCroskey has never been seen before.
Alright, so I'm making this video because, or if anybody finds this, I really don't know what I'm trying to say, and I'm breathtaking at what I've done, and I apologize. I know I'm gonna pay for my consequences. You know, I wish that I could have not done this, but I just lost my mind. I snapped, and I did what I did, and I gotta pay for it now. My consequences. I'm like all shaky and stuff, but like, to anybody that finds this, tell my parents that like I love them, and I'm very sorry for doing this, and there's nothing really else to say. To everybody that is probably gonna hate me for this, I'm sorry, and I had to do it. My mind just snapped. I couldn't control it anymore.
Did you record this after or before?
That's it. Fuck you to the big world. Fuck everybody in the world. I can't stand this place.
Richard filmed this video as he was living in the home of his victims and their rotting corpses. He stayed in the house with their dead bodies for days after their deaths. Neighbors began noticing a sickening stench emanating from somewhere in the neighborhood, but couldn't pin down the source. They shrugged it off, attributing the smell to a dead animal. Little did they know they were smelling 4 human bodies as they began to decompose. When Richard finally fled the house, he left behind a crime scene so horrific, police wouldn't even describe what they found beyond the victims dying of blunt force trauma. What exactly was he doing during his time in the home remains a mystery to this very day. But one thing is for certain, when he set off to visit his online friend for the first time, no one could have possibly imagined everything would take such a shocking turn.
That's crazy.
Okay, so he's just a visitor.
I guess so.
Or, okay, we'll go get
it's
it.
An online friend.
Yeah, okay.
Baby, yeah.
Yep.
What?
20-year-old Richard Samuel McCroskey III was an aspiring horrorcore rapper who lived with his father and sister in Castro Valley, California.
I know rap music. I ain't never heard a horrorcore rapper. Have you?
What that? Like what?
There ain't no genre of rap music.
What does it sound like?
Horrorcore.
Subgenre of hardcore hip hop that meshes in the horror theme.
Ain't no such thing, bro. I guess like a dark,
yeah, like that, yeah.
Kind of 3 6 Mafia. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Are we talking like 3 6 Mafia style when I used to do like? Have you ever heard like?
Yeah. That's the only one on there from this.
Or like what's the brother that died? What's called brother that died? I can't think of it. But I look at this like an OG gangster rap, but I get like Tell Me Right the Third. Yeah. Lord Infamous and all that, like that underground Memphis, and it sound like okay.
Richard had been relentlessly teased and harassed in high school, primarily because of his red hair and weight, but he was very submissive and didn't fight back. As a result, he dropped out of 2 different high schools and never graduated. For a while, he worked as a graphic designer and was skilled at making websites. Many described him as a quiet young man who kept to himself, but his MySpace profile showed the juxtaposition of his online and real-world personalities. Under the names Lil Demon Dog or Psycho Sam, his MySpace page was littered with references to the underground horrorcore scene, which included obscene lyrics and various depictions of murder. You can see some of the horrorcore artwork Richard displayed in his bedroom. Many believe his stage name was inspired by an unhealthy obsession with David Richard Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam, a serial killer who murdered 6 people from 1976 to 1977. Many of his photos show him posed in cemeteries or holding weapons such as an axe. In one video Richard posted, he is wearing a skull bandana while standing outside a Gothic church during a lightning storm and rapping lyrics about the evil voices inside my head. They just want me to murder continuously. They want me to take lives on a mass murder spree. They love the smell of a body that's rotten and decayed. That's what I think about when I'm stalking my prey. The fact that Richard says evil voices inside my head does not necessarily mean he is hearing voices in the same way that a person with schizophrenia hears voices. While people who have schizophrenia can commit murder in response to a commanding hallucination, it doesn't seem like this was the case with Richard. People with antisocial personality disorder often have many different selves. People with APD also sort of morph into different identities, depending on the situation and what they want to achieve. For instance, they can be very charismatic in situations where they need to manipulate someone to get their way. So in Richard's case, the voices inside his head that he's referring to can simply just be his evil side or his own inner violent tendencies. As Richard's confidence within the horrorcore niche grew, he started chatting with other like-minded individuals, among them 16-year-old Emma Kelly Niederbrock, who went by the username Ragdoll.
Alright, so you wanted a video, and you made me videos, so... And he said please, so... I'll make you this video, even though I'm not gonna, do anything. Because my room's kinda dirty, and... Yeah, I don't want to show you my dirty room. But this video is for Emma, because you just told me to say your name. So... I don't know.
I'm wondering if these one of them videos like them verification of who you are video they used to do back in MySpace days. Like I want you to remember, or when they used to be like, show me a picture, you write my name.
Yeah, something like that.
But it still could be digitally altered.
Yeah.
He really didn't understand, but at one point people would be like, hey,
and it was just a way to
verify that you ain't no catfish.
Yeah.
I'll make you another video once clean, I promise. Unless you just want to see my wall, because that's not dirty, but behind me is dirty, so that's not good. Alright, this video is for you, Emma, the ragdoll, amazing ragdoll, and I really don't know what to do for you on video, so I guess I'll show you my room a little bit, if that's what you want to see. First off, we got my door. And then we got my addiction for energy drinks. And then we got my small underground CD collection going on right here. And then we got my wall of awesomeness that I call it. Lots of posters and flyers and a Hatchet Man charm and random stuff. A hatchet. Oh no, the battery's dying. No.
Emma lived in Farmville, Virginia, with her mother, Dr. Deborah Sue Kelly, and her father, Reverend Mark Allen Niederbrock.
Yes, babe.
Oh, wow.
What was her dad and mom's name?
Oh, wow. It just
clicked.
Yeah, I'm having one of your moments.
Well, I didn't have...
I'm having one of your moments. See, wow.
I just called it straight.
Online friend.
Yes, baby.
With her mother, Dr. Deborah Sue Kelly.
Dr. Deborah Sue Kelly.
And her father, Reverend Mark Allen Niederbrock.
Reverend Mark?
Mark?
I think that's what he said, Mark.
Virginia, with her mother, Dr. Deborah Sue Kelly, and her father, Reverend Mark Allen Niederbrock.
Okay, got you.
Mark Allen.
Since middle school, she had been homeschooled and was described as a sweet and well-rounded girl. As she got a little older, Emma developed a rebellious streak and began listening to horrorcore music. To fit her new aesthetic, Emma eventually dyed her hair a vibrant pink and began to wear heavy black eye makeup. Her parents hoped that her new interest was just a phase, but they couldn't have been more wrong. Emma's father, Mark Niederbrock, was a reverend and head of Walker's Presbyterian Church in Hicksburg. Her mother, Deborah Kelly, was a sociology and criminology professor at Longwood University and a beloved mentor to her students. When her parents separated, Mark moved out of the family home, leaving Emma and Deborah to live there together. Still, the parents maintained an amicable relationship. However, at this point, Deborah has started to become concerned about Emma's interest in horrorcore, and so all 3 family members went to counseling. Emma also met one of her best friends, 18-year-old Melanie Wells, online through the popular horrorcore artist Razakel. In the horrorcore community, the artists and fans often grew close and frequently communicated online. Razakel had befriended both girls separately while chatting over MySpace. She'd bonded with Emma not only because of their mutual love for horrorcore, but also because they could relate on a deeper level. Both enjoyed photography, makeup, and doing hair, and they both had fathers who were Presbyterian ministers. When Razakel learned that Melanie and Emma actually lived near each other, she decided to introduce them. Melanie used the online handle Mrs. Free Abortions, posted photos of herself in cemeteries, and listed her interests as cigarettes, alcohol, lust, restorative arts, blood and gore, and open graves. As soon as she met Emma, the girls became inseparable. Emma, Melanie, and Richard were brought together through this expansive online community, and unbeknownst to the girls, their fate was sealed.
We defiled the grave, and then lightning struck seconds ago. I think we're being warned. And now it's starting to rain. It's because we fucked up the grave. It's not my fault. And now it's starting to rain really hard. So, peace.
Before long, the relationship between Emma and Richard turned somewhat romantic. However, while Richard referred to Emma as his online girlfriend, Emma may not have been as serious about him. Razakel says that Emma never referred to Richard as her boyfriend, but said they were close and getting closer. Still, they exchanged flirty messages back and forth for around a year before making plans to meet in person. The 3 teenagers hatched a plan to attend a horrorcore music festival in Southgate, Michigan, called Strictly for the Wicked, but they would need some help. Emma's parents weren't exactly thrilled with their daughter's music choices, and they grew more upset when Emma started writing ominous messages on her bedroom walls.
Oh,
Kill the fetus. I'd rather be dead because your faith is meaningless.
However, all they wanted was for their daughter to be safe and happy, so they chose to be supportive even if they didn't understand it. They agreed that she should attend the music festival, but only if everyone stayed at their home in Farmville, and that they would drive the trio to and from the music festival. Emma and Richard were ecstatic to meet for the first time in real life. For Richard, he was looking forward to something good finally happening to him. His own family unit had broken apart 5 months earlier when his father asked his mother to move out of their home. If this was weighing on him, he seemed to put it out of his mind by focusing on seeing Emma. On September 7th, Emma wrote on his MySpace page about her own excitement, saying, "The next time you check your MySpace, you'll be at my house. I love you so, so much, baby, forever and always. You are my one and only everything. I can't wait to see you, baby. It's like 6:17 a.m., and I've been up since 4-ish, filled with uber amounts of excitement. I can't wait. I leave to pick you up in 5 hours. Gah, my insides feel all squishy." Several days before the concert on September 7th or 8th, Richard arrived in Farmville. He'd flown all the way from California just to finally meet Emma. But as we all know, things aren't always as they appear online.
Yeah.
Emma was immediately put off by Richard's shyness and physical appearance. Even before the concert, there may have been cracks forming between the once loved-up couple. But still, on September 12th, 2009, they all went to the show as they'd planned. The drive was no small feat, about 10 hours, which shows just how committed Emma's parents were to keep their 16-year-old daughter safe.
Oh, she's 16? Mm-hmm. Oh, did you know that already?
No, I did.
So she's 16, he's 20.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big problem. That's a red flag right there. Nowadays, it's really frowned upon. I know what 2009 was. We lived it. 100% of that age, other parents didn't frown upon it then. I think some parents, true, but I don't think it was looked upon like they do now. Not, I'm saying not as.
I know. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You over some.
At least try to. As well, Mark and Deborah had been separated for about a year at this point, further proving their dedication to protect Emma. While on the way there, Emma posted about the trip saying, Talk about a long-ass drive sharing the car with a preacher. It's gonna suck, but no doubt is it worth it. It isn't known for sure what exactly happened between Emma and Richard, but some sources claim she began flirting with other boys while at the festival, and there's even a rumor that she went out of her way just to avoid him during the concert. Richard's sister later said she was told by his friends that the two even had a falling out that night. Another rumor is that they had a fight because Emma received a flirty text from another guy at the show. Given what was going to come, something unpleasant must have happened between Emma and Richard. It seems like Richard may have been under the impression, or at least wanted to believe, that he and Emma were exclusively together, so naturally Richard was feeling rejected, betrayed, and even a little angry. Even so, they all returned to Farmville the next day after the concert, and things seemed to be all right. Seemed to be is the key here. Both girls logged into their MySpace accounts once they returned to the Niederbrock house. At 2:43 a.m. on Monday, September 14th, Melanie posted online that she would be home on September 16th. She even wrote about missing people at home, but she would never make it back. Her parents became worried when that date came with no word from the young woman. Her father drove to the home in Farmville where he knew she was staying, but no one answered the door after hours of waiting. The distraught parents made countless attempts to track down Melanie over the next 2 days, calling her phone, Emma's phone, and even Razakel, who hadn't seen them since they left the concert. But then they managed to get through to Richard on the phone at least 2 times. Something was off. Yet when they spoke with him, he gave them a different story every time regarding the girls' whereabouts. They called the Farmville police and requested a welfare check, but officers didn't find anything suspicious. Well, at first. That same day, Melanie's mother, Kathleen, also reached out to Mark Niederbrock and asked if he could go check out the house. He agreed, and Kathleen was relieved that she would finally have answers soon. But her relief was short-lived. Hours passed, and there was still no call from Mark.
Well, yeah, this is Farmville Police Department. Okay, did you just speak with somebody at the residence?
Yes, I just spoke with, the daughter's boyfriend.
Okay, well, I don't know. My sergeant went over there, and he just said that it was a young kid, a boy, and that Melanie and the girl she's staying with are at the movies now. Yesterday they went to Richmond. Vehicle had broken down, and the cell phone's dead, and that kind of thing. So is that what he talked to you about?
What he told me, yeah. And like I said, but I don't know where the mother is. I don't know where. I mean, she's usually the one that I guess drives them around, and she just disappears. I haven't spoken to her at all. The father I talked to earlier on today,
right?
He said that he was on his way. As a matter of fact, he was on the road when I was talking to him. He was going through Farmville. He was supposed to stop at the house. I haven't heard from him since.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm at this point, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think at all.
Okay.
You know, and him being at the movies, I just tried to call. He said that Emma tried to call, or just called him from the movies. And I tried to call the phone that because she called from. There's no answer. It goes right into it.
Okay.
Later that night, when she still hadn't heard back, Kathleen called the police again. They arrived at the Farmville house and were greeted by Richard at the front door, who explained that the girls had left to see a movie. The officers left without looking inside the home, but naturally, Kathleen wasn't satisfied with the answer Richard had given. She called the home and once again spoke with him, but this time, instead of giving excuses, he simply stated that the girls couldn't answer the phone.
This is what doesn't make sense. I mean, my daughter...
I'm sorry, y'all. Because my thing as a police officer, one, I'll be like, first, it's not your house anyway. The homeowners are not answering.
They don't know that type of information. They probably don't know if he stays there. All they can do is
okay. And what's her name, Kathleen?
Or
she probably don't know either because she probably don't even know who Richard really
also, we
is supposed to be.
Gotta 100% remember this is 09.
Yeah, let's press play.
What you? I'm saying.
I said press play. I got you.
Girls couldn't answer the phone.
This is what doesn't make sense. I mean, my daughter was called.
Right.
So I just don't know what to think. What scared me earlier, she was saying, there was noises in the basement coming from, in the house. And, I don't know.
All right, if you don't hear anything from her, then just call us back and I'll send an officer back over there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just, like I said, it doesn't make, none of this makes, any sense at all. I've heard that, they were supposed to be home by 9 this evening, and then 10, and then, so I don't know.
All right, well, just try to, wait and see if Melanie calls you in the next hour, and if not, call us back.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much for your help.
Okay, you're welcome as well. All right, bye-bye.
Kathleen insisted that Richard call the police himself because something seemed very wrong, and surprisingly, he did. Richard called 911. However, instead of revealing anything about the girls, he complained about a strange sound coming from the basement of the home.
Phone 911.
Hey, could I have a police unit come by my house? Because I keep hearing sounds in the basement, and I'm scared to go down there and check what it is.
Okay, what kind of sounds do you hear?
Like just noises, like something moving around down there. I think it's the dogs, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
We have 2 dogs, but one of them is upstairs. I just put him up there, and the other one might be down there, but I'm not sure if it's the dog or not.
Okay, and it's in the basement. What's your name?
Sam.
Sam?
But this isn't my house. I'm staying at my girlfriend's house.
Okay. All right, we'll get somebody to come up there, okay?
Thank you very much. Bye.
Police showed up once again and did a quick search of the basement, but found nothing and left. Authorities later defended their choice to leave the Niederbrock home without seeing Melanie, Emma, or either of her parents during the welfare checks because they thought Richard had reasonably answered all of their questions.
Also, what town we in?
Farmville, Virginia.
What's the population like? You said what?
Nothing.
No, speak up.
No, I'm just talking to myself, child.
Population of 7,000, so small population.
I do wonder what it was at that time.
That's what I'm trying to see. Yeah, it probably ain't gonna give me a definite
It probably won't
answer,
give you, yeah.
but it'll give me somewhere
roughly around the same.
Roughly around the same. They didn't kind of actually they done went down in population.
Yeah.
So let me see. Let me just see something real quick. So smaller than where I'm from.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it smaller than where y'all from? Where you from?
It's probably bigger. Probably a little bit bigger.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, y'all about the same.
It's about the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
So you're about the same as him. So think about where you're from.
About the same as where, because he's not from there.
I'm saying in
Farmville.
About
the same in Farmville, yeah.
Farmville. So think about where you're from. Because where I'm from is a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. But think about where you're from and think about 09. And think about the competence of people then. I think people have, over time, we as a society, we get smarter. We've seen things play out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And things start getting younger, especially back then. A lot of police officers were older, stuck in their ways and how they do things. Those have now retired. And I do feel like they 100%, the police station comes out very slow. The officers come out very, you know what I'm saying, not all there in the head. And honestly, did a horrible job this whole time.
But the comment I made under my breath, you said, "Oh, what's the population? Oh, what'd you say? How's the population, or what the?" I can't remember you saying. I said something about the IQ. That's what I was saying. Because I'm just so confused as to like one. Kathleen has called several times about to this same address, right?
Yes.
Which I'm pretty sure when you put it in and go out or take the call, whatever, it populates it. Whatever. I don't know how it was back then. Don't know. Whatever. I don't know if the message was relayed that, hey, we've had officers out at this house for other reasons. I don't know how it was. But also the fact that you tell me you're not even the homeowners, it's your girlfriend's house. Where's your girlfriend? First of all, who all, like, I get that y'all just going there for like sounds in the basement, but it's just very strange to me that you are the one doing all this calling.
So now we got the dad gone, Mark.
We got Mark, Deborah, Emma, and Melanie.
Yeah, so we got 4 individuals who no one has heard.
And
the smell.
It probably hasn't started yet because we don't know how long. Let's see.
That's right.
Yet around that same day, when neighbors walked by the home, they noted that even from the street, something smelled dead nearby.
That same day?
Which they attributed to an animal.
I'm sorry, y'all. They talk about the same day the officer went to check.
Answered all of their questions. Yet around that same day when neighbors walked by.
Around that same day,
Neighbors from the street. Excuse me. I get a little passionate sometimes. Neighbors from the streets can smell the stench in the air. And y'all are in the house and you telling me nothing's...
And y'all are officers.
Nothing's
so
like...
y'all more familiar with the smell.
Something smells a little off in here. What's...
Y'all more familiar with the smell of dead bodies and decaying body, right? Because most of the time we watch a body cam and somebody's dead in the house. What they typically say, it smells like somebody's dead in here. It doesn't smell... I think an animal and a human deceased smells differently, I'm sure.
Yeah, but if you've never smelled human...
You're an officer. You're an officer.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, just regular average people. Never smell, actual human decaying body. Then you probably would just like, something smells really foul. It doesn't smell like garbage. It doesn't smell, it's this other smell, but I don't know if it's a dead animal, but it smells like death.
Like, I've been around a dead animal. I'm like, okay, dead animal. The only other thing I've been around that I'm like, hit me like that was a snake.
Yeah.
When I smelled that dead snake, I said, ooh, what the fuck is that? And it was such a strong scent where it kind of knocked me. I was like, bro, what the...
A foul odor.
Bro.
Very foul.
Worse than a... Have you smelled a dead snake?
I've smelled a dead snake and other animals, yeah.
Dead, like...
The home, they noted that even from the street, something smelled dead nearby, which they attributed to an animal. It's both surprising and troubling that the police did so little to investigate this situation after receiving multiple phone calls about minors not being heard from in days and alleged noises in the basement. The law gives police officers the authority to act in whatever manner they deem necessary when performing welfare checks, including investigating unexpected criminal activity. The police certainly had the ability legally to do much more than they did. It seems highly unlikely that they wouldn't notice an odor that was commented on by people much further from the scene. It also seems impossible to believe that once they were inside the home, there was no evidence of a crime when 4 people had been murdered in such a violent and gruesome manner. The families of the deceased could try to sue the officers for their failure to do more to investigate. However, it's an uphill battle to do so. State laws provide police officers with protections from civil lawsuits and criminal charges. These protections are not simply defenses that the officers may raise after they're charged or sued. They effectively prevent a criminal charge or civil lawsuit from even going forward. The police have what is called qualified immunity. Qualified immunity means that police officers are protected from being sued as long as they're acting within the guidelines of their job and not acting negligently or unreasonably. This gives police officers room to do their job without the fear of lawsuits interfering. In this particular case, it could be reasonably argued that the police did in fact act negligently by not thoroughly searching the home for the missing minors, or because they missed the wretched odor emanating from the Farmville home that was noticed by neighbors. At some point on the 17th, Richard made a call home. His sister said he was checking to see if his family was okay, and he ended the message with, "I love you guys." Hearing this, his sister knew something was off. They didn't say "I love you" to each other. However, because she knew her brother was someone who wouldn't kill a spider if she asked him to, she couldn't have imagined just how horribly wrong things had gone in Farmville. It's possible that Richard wasn't a very assertive individual. Maybe he was highly sensitive and fragile in many ways, unable to kill a spider. He may have, at one point in his life, been a rather weak person. The fact that Richard was teased and harassed in high school means that he could have developed some trauma during his adolescent years. However, teens who were bullied and subsequently traumatized typically don't grow up to become murderers. Richard appears to have had an immense amount of underlying anger and hatred that was never expressed in a healthy way. When a person remains passive against bullying or abuse, they will harbor a lot of self-hatred and, of course, hatred of others. The self-hatred develops because the person is not standing up for themselves and protecting themselves from the abuse. Helplessness and powerlessness then develop as a result. In Richard's situation, he likely felt helpless and powerless for so long after being bullied, he may have developed a mental image of himself as this tough individual that others should fear. This pretend image he developed made him feel bigger, stronger, and more powerful. This self-image likely gave him a sort of high, so he really embodied that image more and more with time. Once Richard felt betrayed by Emma, his online girlfriend, This betrayal triggered that underlying anger and hatred of others, almost like that inner angry and violent nature remained dormant until he felt betrayed by his romantic interest. He stepped into and acted on that tough, powerful image that was really only in his mind for years, but to him it was real. To Richard, he was that strong, powerful person. It took a trigger, romantic rejection, to lead him to act on those feelings of hatred and desire for violence that he harbored for so long. Kathleen continued to call the police for help finding Melanie.
Yes, I don't know who I need to talk to, or
What's up?
My daughter is with a family in Farmville, Virginia, and she's been basically missing for the past 2.5 days. I can't get a hold of her. Her cell phone's turned off. What's worse is the girl that she was staying with, nobody knows where she is. Her cell phone is turned off. The daughter's boyfriend is staying there, and I've talked to him several times today, and I've gotten different stories. But my husband went down. He was supposed to pick up my daughter yesterday. And he went down there. He arrived at about 11 o'clock in the morning. He sat there for 8 hours outside the house. Nobody showed up. Nobody answered the door. And, I mean, we're about 4 hours away here, and I don't know what else to do.
Okay, is your husband still here in Farmville?
No, he's home. He came home.
Oh, okay.
He was going to head back down there tomorrow to pick her up, but everybody seems secured off the face of the earth, and I just don't know what to think. I checked the cell phone records with my cell phone company. The last time she used her cell phone, 1:28 in the morning on September 15th. And actually, she wasn't using. Somebody called in and left her a voicemail.
After relentless calls from Kathleen, Farmville police returned the following day, September 18th. But this time, they were stopped dead in their tracks by a horrific odor emanating from behind the closed front door. Knowing that sinister smell all too well, officers swiftly entered the home and stumbled upon what they later described as a slaughterhouse. 3 bloody bodies were found brutally murdered in a downstairs bedroom, with a 4th body uncovered later in an upstairs bedroom. The unrecognizable victims were identified as Mark Niederbrock, Deborah Kelly, Emma Niederbrock, and Melanie Wells.
Wow.
Melanie, Emma, and Deborah had been mercilessly bludgeoned to death in their beds as they slept. Several weapons were discovered at the crime scene, but experts believe the injuries were specifically from a wooden splitting maul taken from the family's own backyard. When Mark had shown up to check on the girls, he had been attacked from behind with the same instrument. Because there was no evidence that Mark had tried to fight back, it looked as though he'd been ambushed as he entered the house. The father had been beaten so viciously that the hardwood floor under him was nearly destroyed and soaked with blood. None of the 4 victims had any defensive wounds, and all had died from blunt force trauma to the head. Both Mark and Melanie's bodies had been moved down to Emma's room with her corpse in a twisted effort to clean up. Authorities were horrified at the chilling crime scene, but more than that, they were faced with the realization that during their previous visits to the home, they had unknowingly missed the gory evidence. But something was missing. There was no sign of Richard anywhere. Earlier that same day at around 4 in the morning, Richard had stolen and crashed Mark's car. Unaware of the horrors he had committed at that time, or that the car he crashed was his getaway vehicle, a police officer issued him a summons for driving without a license. The officer even went as far as to help secure him a ride with the tow truck and simply let him go. Richard was dropped off at a convenience store around 6 a.m. by the tow truck driver, who reported that Richard had an overwhelmingly foul, putrid odor. The smell was so strong he even noticed it inside the crashed vehicle. He said Richard stunk like the devil, and he was forced to roll down the car windows and stick his head outside.
He ain't took a bath in all that time.
No.
So that's going to be the part of the odor, but also that odor that the deaths of everybody has now attached to him. One, he's moving those bodies around. He's staying in there. So that odor is like just building onto his body. Oh my God, no, he was. Whew. And the officer didn't.
Don't piss me off.
The officer, hold on.
Don't make me mad again. I done calm down.
The officer responded to the car accident. He didn't smell the odor on you or inside the car. And then Man.
Oh, you done made me mad again because these officers, I'm telling you, for real.
Most incompetent officers I've ever heard of.
Because, like, what are we doing?
She was like, I was just tired, y'all. I done walk all the way back
What are we doing?
The fresh air didn't help much because he still heaved visibly twice. Yet Richard didn't seem to mind the foul smell. During their trip, the driver also noticed that Richard had red marks on his neck that looked like hickeys. When he commented on them, Richard claimed that his girlfriend gave them to him. In fact, he was so comfortable with the driver that he admitted the 2000 Honda he just wrecked belonged to the father of his girlfriend. Once at the convenience store, Richard then called for a cab to take him to Richmond International Airport.
Wow.
In a strange turn of events, on their way to the airport, the taxi was pulled over by a police officer for speeding. Apparently unconcerned, Richard had simply calmly exited the vehicle and had a smoke by the side of the road while the incident was sorted, as though he didn't have a care in the world. Even after 2 very close calls with police officers, little did anyone know the true horror he had left in his wake. Just hours after the grisly crime scene had been discovered, a man named Andres Shrim called the police. Shrim was the boyfriend of the horrorcore rapper Razakel. He went by the stage name Satanic the Soulless, and his record label was called Serial Killin' Records. In his call to the police, Shrim said that one of Richard's friends had spoken to him recently and said that Richard was noticeably upset and that he had made some disturbing comments, including that he had killed someone, maybe even a couple of people. The police were now certain that Richard was the perpetrator in the 4 horrific murders. They circulated a photo of him from his MySpace account in an attempt to track him down. It wasn't long before officers found Richard sleeping in the baggage claim area on September 19th and arrested him before he could hop a flight back to California. The cold killer had actually left behind a piece of paper at the crime scene containing the exact address of the airport. His grand escape plan had been to wait in the airport for a flight in 2 days. At some point, he must have panicked because he attempted to buy a ticket for an earlier plane, but it was too expensive, so all he could do was wait, which is exactly how police found him.
Just funking up the place.
Just fine. This probably about a taxi driver speeding. Trying to hurry him, get him to the darn airport.
Get him the fuck out of his car, bro. You from California all the way from Virginia, committing murders.
And that's where you gonna be at.
Your family, way far from your family.
Piss me off.
Like that. Family can't just come see you.
Stop protecting me like that. I'll put somebody on BG. She young. She's 16.
Shouldn't they talk to her first?
Piss me off so bad.
See that?
You have a hotel room or something. You can't be around.
We advise you to Miranda rights. That you understood your rights and you signed the form saying you were willing to talk to us and you still willing to talk to us?
Yes, but I would like to have somebody here too, like a lawyer.
Okay, that is your option. So are you invoking your right to remain silent?
Yes.
After he was arrested, it was noted that his clothing was totally caked in gore, as he hadn't changed or bathed since committing his atrocious crimes. Many pointed out after the news broke of Richard's arrest that, ironically, one of his songs was titled, "I Kill People for Real." It appears that sometimes life really does imitate art. But after his arrest, many were left with more questions than answers. While Richard claimed to have chosen the 8-pound maul as the murder weapon because he thought nobody would suffer, he also allegedly drank beer, smoked marijuana, and might have taken painkillers for a migraine headache before the killings. It's hard to know if he planned what he did next, or if it was the result of his rage because of his and Emma's faltering romance, or even if the cocktail of substances pushed him over the edge. Rather than go to trial and risk the death penalty, Richard accepted a plea deal, and almost 1 year later, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of capital murder and 2 counts of first-degree murder. His defense attorney tried to claim that Richard expressed remorse and that he said he felt bad for what he had done.
Oh, he did.
Yet as he left court, he gave onlookers a sinister, slight smirk, further proving his wickedness. Richard Samuel McCroskey III was given 4 consecutive life sentences, and as part of the plea bargain, he waived his right to an appeal. Since the case never went to trial, a clear motive in the savage murders has never been released. When asked why he had done it by reporters as he was brought back to Farmville, Richard had simply responded,
"How did you do it?" Jesus told me to do it.
His sister later denied that his response was a sign of psychosis. Instead, she said that this was just his sense of humor and that he was being sarcastic. Several theories exist surrounding a possible motive for the barbaric attacks. The most popular is that Richard was either jealous of the attention Emma was giving other young men, or angry because she rejected him. If this is the case, Melanie and both of Emma's parents had tragically just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Richard's attack on Emma's parents and her friend Melanie could have been purely due to the fact that they were present in the home, and therefore would be witnesses to what he wanted to do to Emma. It's also possible that he felt humiliated by Melanie too, and maybe by Emma's mother. When Emma decided that she wasn't interested in Richard romantically, maybe he got the cold shoulder from Emma, her mom, and Melanie. Emma's father, on the other hand, may have just literally been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Richard may have crossed a threshold when he succeeded at committing his first 3 murders, so killing one other person, Emma's father, was easier for him. This further supports Richard being a total psychopath, because if, let's say, the murders would have been an impulsive move that occurred because of his anger and obsession with Emma, a crime of passion, and because he was intoxicated, any half-normal person would be devastated and likely wouldn't have killed another person, a 4th person. However, in Richard's case, he didn't mind adding to his murder tally, even after having days to reflect on what he did, and even after spending days in the presence of those lives he ended. I believe
he only killed Richard because he was afraid he was going to get caught. Let's not make no excuses for this motherfucker. The main reason why he killed Richard is because Richard walked in and he was like, oh shit, I'm going to get caught. And I have to basically leave no witnesses. And that's the reason why he tried to delay all process. He tried to clean up the scene because he was afraid he was going to get caught. Point blank period. The main reason why the police officers, when they walked in, they only checked the first floor and downstairs. They didn't check for real in the house. Well, Richard was on the first floor.
That's what I was like. So
Richard was on the first floor, so they only checked the basement. Unless he had moved Richard and then later on moved him back.
Yeah.
But let's not.
But yeah.
And the main reason why an individual like this, because he can never get no play or talk to any female in person around him or his age. So he went prowling on MySpace of somebody who he feel as though shared the same interests as him, as in the hardcore music scene. Horrorcore music scene. That's the reason why he sought after Emma. Also, Emma was a lot younger than him. So he's like, okay, perfect. She's younger. I can't date no girl my age. She's into this. I'm an awkward guy anyway in person, and I'm always bullied anyway. So his interest came from online. Then when he finally met up with Emma, Emma really realized, I'm not really into this dude. This dude is weird. Way weirder than I thought I was. You know what I'm saying? So then she's like, yeah, I interact with you, but I'm not romantically interested in you like I thought I was. Because she finally meets you in person. Because that's the first person you felt yourself attached to, and you get your first sense of denial from someone at 20 years old, it feels you were nothing but rage. And right there, unfortunately, from there, he had came up with the whole motive in his head already. And everybody was just a victim of his own rage inside his own damn head. The only thing we could have did differently is you can't stay in my house. You could have got your own hotel room because he couldn't come back to my house. If as a parent you was gonna allow that him come, he can get his own room. He cannot stay here. We don't even know this dude. Right. Just because you've been chatting with him online, you do not know this kid. Right. Well, not a kid. He's a 20, a grown man. Yeah. You don't know this grown man. You are a child.
This really shows the depths of his psychopathy. Richard could have very likely just have been a ticking time bomb. It's possible that anyone that really triggered his anger and past traumas would have been the victims of murder at his hands. In this case, it was Emma, her parents, and her friend Melanie. Maybe it was only a matter of time, and for the right circumstances to be present for Richard to finally fully embody that persona of a strong, powerful person. However, Richard reportedly told the cab driver who brought him to the airport that he'd gotten into an argument with Emma after overseeing a text message she received from a guy she met at the festival, saying he loved her and wanted to be with her. This is similar to the rumor about her texting another guy while at the concert. Richard told the cab driver that Emma had become angry with him for invading her privacy, but he claimed that to avoid arguing with her, he waited for her to fall asleep before he left. The cab driver noted that Richard seemed like a nice young man. He was very polite and well-spoken, and he spoke passionately about Emma. Of course, he'd already killed Emma at this point, at least 2 days earlier. The report by the cab driver reveals some important details about how people with antisocial personality disorder tend to present themselves. They can certainly be very polite and well-spoken. It's not surprising that the cab driver's initial impression of Richard was that he seemed like a nice young man. This is likely what happened with Emma. Richard was probably very charismatic during their online interactions. However, once she really interacted with him more closely, she probably realized the unappealing antisocial traits and didn't want to have anything to do with him, thus leading to her rejection of Richard, which then triggered his anger. It makes sense that Richard would speak about his passion for Emma to the cab driver, despite having killed Emma 2 days earlier. Sociopaths who commit murders will often refer to their victims in an affectionate way after having killed them. People with APD take possession over people and things quite frequently due to their sense of entitlement and lack of empathy or consideration for the needs and rights of others. Therefore, the fact that Richard murdered Emma could have been at least partly due to feeling that if he can't have her, no one else can. Or he may have believed that Emma could not exist if she doesn't belong to him. He wanted to get back at Emma for rejecting him. Very little evidence has ever been publicly revealed about what happened during the several days that Richard was alone in the home with 4 rotting corpses. He didn't move the bodies into Emma's room until after the first time the police showed up at the house for a welfare check, meaning he was living in the home while surrounded by bloody bodies. The self-recorded videos are some of the only pieces of evidence we have that tell us about Richard's state of mind during this time. What we do know is that he took the time to film himself as he contemplated taking his own life.
Alright, I'm making this video because it's in my final minutes of being alive, and to anybody that finds this, I want you to tell my parents I love them deeply, and I'm very sorry for doing this. To my brother, Sinister, aka Eric, and Emily, I love you guys deeply, and I'm sorry for going this route. I know I said I'd turn myself in, but I'm not gonna do that. I can't do that. I can't pay those consequences, so I gotta do what I gotta do, which is gonna be over there, if you get to see that. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna do, because I'm sure you guys know what I'm gonna do. I'm really sorry, but it came to this. But I'm gonna get going and do what I gotta do. I'm gonna pay my consequences. So my last words before I go: fuck you to the world, fuck everybody in it. I can't stand this place. Fuck your God. And no, I'm not a nut rider, but fuck your God. SKR, Wicked Intent, for life, peace.
Many were quick to blame the horrorcore genre for the mass murder because of the way the music seems to glorify murder. But supporters argue that the music is merely a dark fantasy, and only those suffering from mental health issues would carry out such a heinous act. But regardless of his musical preferences, this was a rage-fueled attack against a teacher, pastor, daughter, and friend at the hands of absolute evil. The Farmville community will forever remember and mourn the losses of those 4 innocent lives.
Yeah. Wow.
You wanted to say something?
No, I was just going to say, just to come, I don't know if he just said it like that, because he said, I know I said I was going to turn myself in. So I'm wondering, did he like call back home and tell them exactly like what he did? Did they know? Like just that comment alone, I was like, or did he just say it like that in that moment? I just wonder, because if so, and no one like reached out or called or said, like, it's just kind of weird. But rest in peace to Emma, Deborah, Mark, and Melanie. Yeah, that's sad though.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comments down below for us, man. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We out.
Ain't no time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money low, get my team strong. Let me run away from my